very warm welcome to Wesley Impact. In my devotional thoughts today, I'm going to be reflecting on the last in a series focusing on ordinary people of the Bible. We meet some of our chaplains who work on Wesley Mission's front line, and we meet a man who's witnessed the worst of war. Today's guest, Ang Nguyen, was conscripted into the Vietnamese army at 18 years of age. He was captured and brutally tortured by the Khmer Rouge before finding God in a refugee camp. His life's journey is now in print in a book called I Am a New Creation. Ang, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Let's start from the beginning. You grew up with the sound of bombing as normative, the sort of thing that was happening, and your earliest memory is of losing people very close to your loved ones when I think you're only 10 years of age. It's a memory you recall every time you make any reflection about those days. How significant was that?
To hear the noise of the airplane on top of your head and the bombing is awful. I still remember when the first time that the sirens warning us about the airplane coming, and my mother, she just gathered all of us and lead us to run from the house, going down to the potato garden, and she forced us to lie down. And my mom, she just experienced the war during the French, just about 10 years. So she still remember all of that.
And then you're conscripted at 18 years of age. Tell us about the moment you were ambushed and captured yourself.
In the army, I was trained as a specialist. And we went to the heartland of the Khmer Rouge in 1983. So the kind of search and destroy mission. So we went to heartland, and normally the commander, if the good one, they lead us into the area and he knows the terrain. But this is a young leader, just came from North Vietnam. So he lead us into the mountain top. And there we rest. And because I am as a coachman from that group, so I have the duty to communicate between the leader in the campaign to the top leaders in the battalion, so that they can set out the strategy for us. So because the radio that we use is not a modern one, so we cannot communicate too far away. So my leaders ordered me to go up to the tree, so it's about 3 meters high, so I have to go up there and put the antenna up.
So moving that forward, you're taken a captive. You find yourself in a prisoner of war camp, in a Thai prisoner of war camp, before being released into one of the largest refugee camps, Taiwan, for 5 years. What was that like?
Thai refugee still better for me, because I was captured by the Khmer Rouge after I lost in the jungle for many days. And in the Khmer Rouge prisons, you know, it's one of the worst killers in our generation. So being tortured, you know, nowadays I look at this hand over here, or the cut and the handcuff and the nail pin here, it's always remind me of the heart that's there.
So when you go into the refugee camp, though many people would say that was bad, to you it was much better than being in that other place. So that was something.
It's still heaven to me.
Yes.
It's in a refugee camp to compare with the Khmer Rouge prison.
And you talk about God being very much your refuge and keeping you alive at that time. We're going to come back in just a moment and pick that story up. But before we talk more about the journey, I'm going to reflect on that theme by introducing you to a message through music from our next guest. Levi McGrath has worked with aid agencies to raise awareness of the great need within the refugee camps in Africa. He has captured some of the personal experiences into song. Here's Levi with Scars of War.
I've seen the scars of war. I have seen the face of trust. I have I've touched the dry red sand, seen people go without. I have seen a child's eyes. His house was made of sticks and rags. I don't know if he survived. God, it makes me mad. This is the consequence. This is the shame we bear. The price of our ignorance, when there's more than enough to share. This is the consequence. Will I go back to who I was before? Will I leave, forgetting what I saw? Will I choke if I stand tall? Will I do anything at all? Will I do anything at all? These are the scars of war. This is the price we pay. This is what's happening when we look the other way. This is the consequence. This is the shame we bear. The price of our ignorance, when there's more than enough to share. This is the consequence. Will I go back to who I was before? Will I leave, forgetting what I saw? Will I choke if I stand tall? Will I do anything at all? Will I do anything at all? These are the scars of war. This is the price we pay. This is what's happening when we look the other way.
Keith Garner's new book, A Word for the World, is now available. Dealing with the 4 themes of success, sorrow, society and spirituality, the 16 sermons in this book will definitely inspire and challenge you as you read. The book also includes a DVD featuring interviews with Nick Farr-Jones, Lee Hatcher, Tanya Plibersek and Margaret Somerville. For more information on A Word for the World, please contact us on 9263 5555 or at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
And if Levi's music is what does it for you, then his details are going to be on our website all this week. It was in the camp, refugee camp, Angers, you began to think about religion in a real way, and you connected with the Bible in a most interesting way. Tell us about that.
It's quite funny to record about that. It's because after I was tortured by Khmer Rouge, after I was imprisoned by them, and after living in Thai military, and here's my friend, his name Jung, he's come from the commandos, one of the best unit in Vietnamese army, and he was tortured and he become invalid. And every time I look at him and thinking about 3 others prisoners being killed, and I just thinking, why God allow me to live? Because I lived through the Khmer Rouge torture for longer than all of them. And here I am alive, and I started thinking, well, I need to search out for the meaning of life. There must be a purpose for me. So that's why I started to say, oh, Buddhism is my forefathers' religion. So I say I went to the temple and worked there and be friends with the monk and asking a burning question within me. And that burning question is, why did I live? Why should I live? And what is there any purpose for me? And so Buddhism and the monk explained to me and said it's because of your karma. It's not that end. So karma to me is the big things because I experienced millions of Cambodians killed in Khmer Rouge. And here, if that issue is real, if that is true in karma, and then how come the history of Cambodians been focused in one point?
So how does the Bible become used for you?
I wasn't a Christian, and I did not interested about Christianity. So because we went to the camp, and 3 years passed already, and none of us being resettled in third world country. We call it the third country in the world. So frustrated. And of course, we have girlfriends come to visit us. So I have the idea that I could take the Bible and tear the page. Sorry to say this, but it is the real things. A lot of the page was used to roll cigarette and smoke, and the rest was used as wallpaper. So I stick the wallpaper right on my room there. So in Thailand, it's very hot. I could not sleep in one noon. So I just turned and tossed around and around, and I found a page of the Bible right there, right in front of my nose.
On the wall.
On the wall. And here's a message from Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 9. It's so nice, right in front of my face, so I read. And there's a word of warning. I say, be happy, young man. Basically say, do whatever you like in your life here. Enjoy your youth. But remember, God will judge you. And it's the first time ever in my life I have this fear. Fear that I sweat from the back, and the back of the hair from the back even rose up.
So a year after coming to Australia became a turning point for you, and from that turning point, you've moved on in Christ. You also have written this book, I Am a New Creation. Tell me what your purpose was in writing that book.
Writing the book actually is not my aim, because I at home taking care of my children, because I don't use this clothes at home, just use t-shirt and shorts. So on the scar on my face here, and the scar in here and here, and my children ask, what's this, what's this? So every single scar on my body, there's a history behind it. So I'm telling them. So I don't want to bore to my children, so therefore I chronicle it, so that I can retelling them.
And I know now that you head back to Cambodia every year to give back and provide support and encouragement to other people in those contexts. I think that's so important. What does your homeland mean to you now?
I went back to Cambodia because the land of suffering, and only the gospel can bring some hope to them.
Look, thank you ever so much for being so open about your own life, some of those early days of suffering, the finding of Jesus Christ as your Saviour. And what a thing to find the verse that was so important on the wall next to you. And that ministry that you've got now as a husband, a father of children, and pastor in a church. Bless you in all that you seek to do. God bless you, my friend. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's been 200 years since the first Methodists met in Australia. To celebrate 2 centuries of faith and pioneering care, CEO and presenter Reverend Dr. Keith Garner takes us back to where it all began.
But we don't begin here at the heart of London. We begin in a town in the north of England.
In this fascinating narrative, Reverend Garner chronicles the history of the life and times of the founder of Methodism, John Wesley. This fresh and thought-provoking documentary takes us on a journey throughout the United Kingdom, beginning in John Wesley's hometown of Epworth.
John Wesley was born here on the 17th of June, 1703.
This 1-hour DVD travels onto his education years and beginnings of social justice in Oxford, to his final years in London. For more information on John Wesley, the man and his mission, call 02 9263 5555 or email us at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
During Carers Week on our last programme, we shared about how Wesley Mission supports over 1,300 clients and their families through our out-of-home care programme. Let's now take a look at just one family we support through our out-of-home care programme. And this is the second part, if you were with us last week, of Stuart and Alison's story.
The social worker at the hospital said, "How do you think you're going to go home and cope?" And I went, "I don't know that. I don't even know how I'm going to get through the next hour, you know, with two special needs children with such high needs." I said, "You know, I don't know." And she said, "Well, there is help out there, Ali, you know." They put in a referral to Wesley for us. And then Wesley came to the house and they sort of told us everything that they could do. And I said, "Oh, I really don't know if we're really that badly done by." And she looked at me and she said, "Look at you," she said, "nobody else I know needs this as much as you." And I'd hate to think what she was looking at, because I probably hadn't slept for a number of weeks. And I think she was probably looking at a train wreck and said, "Well, let's just give it a go." And I said, "Okay." I know it's thank God it's Friday, but in our house it's thank God it's Wednesday. I get the knock at the door and I think, yes, you know, Louise is here, an extra set of hands.
Hello, Ali.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
So, hi, Lou. I'd be lucky with that, Louise. She comes in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes, you know, I greet her in my pyjamas, you know, and she knows immediately what needs to be done. You know, she just comes straight in and helps me with the boys, or does the washing up, or can see I need a cup of tea and will make me a nice cup of tea, knowing I haven't slept all night. So yeah, we'd be completely lost without Louise.
She sort of can open up to me as a friend, and you know, if she's having a bad day, she can sort of tell me how it's going, and you can be there to help support her.
Trust is one of the biggest things when you get care with your children. I trust Louise 110%, and just even with all of this equipment, you know, it's very important that it's sterile and that it's clean as possible. And Louise looks after my boys, which is the most important thing to me.
I just keep them company and play with them, because Ali's just got plenty of other things to be doing.
This is what I normally do when Louise is here, like all the visuals that you see. So these are the sort of things that we do for Finn to help him with his language. So, yes, it's Ali Simpson. Yeah, I'm just calling back to confirm our appointment on Friday.
Well, there's a lot of doctor's appointments that we go to. I have to go with her. It's always a busy day here with the two boys.
The respite that we get from Wesley really keeps our life on track. The other day, I did a course, and you know, had to have these round circle bubbles on it, like, what is your support network? And you know, of course I put my immediate family members, and up there on the second bubble was Wesley and Louise.
Let me read to you, if I can, from just a few verses from Scripture, 3 from 2 Timothy, the first chapter. "May the Lord show mercy to the household of Onesiphorus, because he has often refreshed me and was not ashamed of my chains. On the contrary, when he was in Rome, he searched hard for me until he found me. May the Lord grant that he will find mercy from the Lord on that day. You know very well in how many ways he helped me in Ephesus." In the last in this series, looking at lesser-known characters in the Bible, I turned to a man who's got a marvellous and memorable name, Onesiphorus. Now, you've not met many Onesiphorus, have you? But let me tell you about this man. What's important is some of the friends of Paul were not always loyal, and when the going got tough, they disappeared. Let me read you just a few words that come before the verses I just read. "You know that everyone in the province of Asia has deserted me." So Paul is really saying, everyone deserted me there, but not Onesiphorus. He stayed firm. And Paul's chains were the mark of his arrest and became, if you like, the test of friendship. Some left and some came back. For example, Mark, and it's talked about in the Acts of the Apostles, let Paul down, but was not permitted on the second missionary journey because of that. He did, however, make it on the third, as he made good. And it could be that the language hints that this man Onesiphorus, who has a place within the Christian community, has actually died at this time. We get that from really understanding the tone, if you like, of these words here. He searched hard, past tense. May the Lord grant that he will find mercy on that day. And on that day usually means the day of the end, the day when all things are opened and all things made clear. So there's something that looks past tense, but there's something about this man that is important. His kindness was not forgotten. And real kindness shown in the grace of God in Jesus Christ is not forgotten. We don't act as Christians in doing works towards other people to be remembered. We don't want to be a people who are marked out in some special way. But what I do know is this: real kindness is remembered. It has its value. And kindness flows out of love. And it's quite clear that Onesiphorus here, it says, he refreshed me, says Paul. Now, I think that means more than just he gave me a drink to take or something like that. I think it means he encouraged me. He gave me something that was there. He invited me somehow into his life in such a way that it was significant and it was warm. He was willing to be identified with Paul. Come back to those chains. Some people were not willing to be identified with chains, perhaps out of fear that they too might know what it is to be in chains if they identified too closely with Paul. But he was willing to be identified with Paul. And here's something that's important. He didn't give up, and he searched for Paul. We're told that he was very helpful when Paul was in Ephesus, and Paul was in Ephesus for quite a considerable period of time and knew what it was to be under authorities there. But when he went to Rome, it demanded that he be found and searched for in what was in those days the big city in every sense of that word. So Onesiphorus didn't give up. He wasn't the kind of person who says, okay, can't find him, end of the story. No, he searched hard for him. And that obviously meant a great deal to Paul as he looked back on not only the kindness, not only the willingness to be identified with him, but the willingness to search for him. So as we've looked at in this series through people who perhaps only get a mention, the one who walked with God, the people who knew what it was to do something that was in some sense small, what they did was very, very important and will always be remembered. They have so much to teach us. Onesiphorus has a great deal to teach me, and I'm sure it has a great deal to teach you. It's not about always doing the things everybody notices, the amazing things that are recognized by everyone else. Sometimes it is those small acts of kindness, the willingness to be identified in friendship and warmth and identity with others. All of that we find here in this particular encounter. So Onesiphorus, a name worth holding to, a name that you don't hear a lot, but a name that is worth remembering, has a great deal to say to me and a great deal to teach every one of us.
If you would like to know more about today's topic or for more on Keith's message, contact Keith by writing to Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A5555, Sydney South 1235. or email impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
Many thanks for joining us. Like Onesiphorus, Ung's story is one of hope and restoration and being faithful. His trips back to his homeland are repairing hearts and communities, and he's now doing something to give back to the community there. We leave you with By Our Love by our own Deborah Ezzie. Goodbye and God bless you.
Let us come together, walking in the Spirit. There's much to be done. We will come reaching out from our comforts, and they will know us by our love. Sisters, we were made for kindness. We can pierce the darkness as He shines.